What's up, guys? Ryan here with Elevate Guitar, back again. Today I wanted to talk to you about how to quickly dial in your amp. This is something we could spend a ton of time with, but honestly, sometimes we just need to be able to dial it in quickly and get running. So we're going to go over a 3-step process I use to do this, and it's quick, but it's highly effective. Now, before I get into that, just want to let you know I do have a free guide available to help you with your guitar tone. It's the 5 foundations of worship guitar tone. You can get it free. Just use the link in the description below. But I go through all the foundations you need, like gain staging, the different effects to use, what effects, and how to dial in your amp and stuff like that. So it's free for you. Go ahead and download it. Use the link in the description. All right, so our whole goal with setting our amp is to get a full and balanced sound. And what I mean is we don't want too many lows, we don't want too many highs, we also don't want to lack highs or lack the mids, thinking of the whole frequency spectrum here. So we want it to be really full and balanced. And this is really the most important part of our tone. I would argue the amp is the foundation of our tone, and it's therefore the most important part. So we really want to get this right. If we don't have a balanced sound, if things aren't working right at the amp level, then down the line when we start adding pedals in and effects and all that, we're just going to create more issues for ourselves and wonder why we're not getting the tone that we want. So it's very important to be able to get this part of the process set up correctly. Now, so let's go through the 3 steps. This is quick and easy. So step number 1 is just to set our EQ knobs to 12 o'clock. So I'm going to set I've got my AC15 right next to me over here. I'm going to set all the EQ knobs to 12 o'clock. Okay. And the reason for that is I just want to start it right in the middle and be able to add or take away based on what I hear. So that was step 1, super easy, 12 o'clock on the EQ knobs. Now on this AC15, I'm in the top boost circuit, so I have the EQ section. So step 2 is to set our gain level on the amp, and we're going to do that by using the volume. Okay, so with this amp, and maybe yours, it's got 2 volumes essentially. It's got the master controlled volume, and then it's got the volume in this top boost circuit. So the way that I do that is I actually turn that master volume all the way up or almost all the way up, just to open it up all the way. And then I use that volume in my top boost section to be more my gain control. So now that I have all my EQs set at 12 o'clock, I'm going to go ahead and put my volumes I'm going to put my master volume all the way up and that other volume at 0. Okay, so now all we have to do is dial in this volume to get the gain that we want. And now this can differ between different guitar players. Some like to have their amp totally clean, and that's fine. I prefer mine a little bit on the dirty side, so I want it to break up. I want to have a little bit of overdrive. And you'll notice I'll go pretty far into kind of gain territory and get a fair amount of breakup out of my amp as just like my bass tone. And so, I'll show you that now. So I'm going to just roll up that volume slowly so you can hear it. Okay, so somewhere out there is where I'm going to set that. Now you can see I didn't even go all the way up with that volume knob, but I went way past what I knew I wanted for gain. So it got real crunchy, real thick, and I didn't want that much gain on there because, I want to still be able to access a clean tone if I need to. And I know that I'm going to let my overdrives and my gain staging do the rest of the work for my gain. So you can set this and play around with it where you want to. If this is your very first time trying to set up an amp, then just do what I'm doing here. Go a little bit until you hear it break up, and you can even push it even a little bit more if you want to. So that was step number 2, is to start your volume at 0 and then dial in your gain with that volume knob. So now that we've done that, now we can look at adjusting our EQ, which is step number 3. So I've got my EQs all at 12 o'clock, and really what I have is a bass and a treble to work with on this amp. You might have a mid control as well, so you'll have to consider that. So I want this to be nice and full, and it actually at 12 o'clock sounds pretty dang good. And I know from using this amp that I don't make a ton of adjustments usually from there. But what I'm going to do is sweep each. I'll start with the bass, and I'm going to sweep it all the way down and all the way up so you can hear the full range of the bass control. And I'll do the same thing with the treble. And I would recommend doing the same thing with your amp so that you know what you're working with. You know what it sounds like if there's no bass or all the way up, and then you can kind of dial it in from there. So let's do this with the bass knob. Okay, so that's bass all the way out. That's with the bass all the way in. Okay, so I'm going to leave the bass right there, right for now, which is a little bit less than 12 o'clock, probably like at 10 or 11. Let's do the same with the treble. That's harsh. That's harsh. Okay, so my treble right now ended up at the same kind of 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock position as my bass. I forgot to mention though too, with this amp I also have a tone cut. So with that I also did 12 o'clock when I did my EQs. I set that to 12, and that's where it currently is right now. So this particular amp has that tone cut option. Not all amps do. So I can also use that to adjust kind of that top end. So this, from what I can hear out of the amp right now in kind of a weird position, that sounds pretty good. It's full. It still has a lot of low end, but not so much that it's really boomy and muddy. And it still has some top end sparkle, but without being super harsh and brittle. So now it's your turn. Those are the 3 steps to quickly dialing your amp. And as you can see, you can move through those pretty quickly, even if you're on an amp that you're unfamiliar with. Maybe you show up to a gig or to a church or wherever, and you're playing through an amp that you are not familiar with. You can go through these 3 steps, and if you go through these steps, you'll get a pretty decent tone out of the amp. So that's step number 1, set all your EQs to 12 o'clock. Number 2, roll your volume all the way down, and then start using that volume to dial in the gain and the breakup that you want out of the amp. And then step number 3, start adjusting your EQs to get that full and balanced sound. And you will have a great starting place, a great foundation with your amp tone to then start throwing in your pedals and everything. So I hope that's helpful. Again, just want to remind you, you can grab that free guide, 5 Foundations of Worship Guitar Tones, totally free. And especially if you're new to electric guitar, maybe you're switching from acoustic to electric, it's going to be super helpful in just understanding just those foundations. And it's going to set you up really well to get some great tone. So thanks for watching. I hope that helped. If you have any questions at all, leave them in the comments, and I'll be glad to help you out. Let me know what you're struggling with when it comes to tone in general. Maybe it's something unrelated to the amp. Maybe it's something to do with pedals or whatever. So let me know, and I'd be glad to help you out. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.